Welcome to the Being a Bird Dog Guide, which is a part of the financing course. Did you know that one of the biggest complaints beginning real estate investors have is that they feel limited in their ability to be successful investors because they don't have tons of money to use, or they don't have good enough credit to get loans? And sadly, many of these same people let complaints like these stand in their way to becoming truly successful investors. Therefore, one of the goals of this lesson is to provide a way for anyone to overcome feelings of inadequacy or inability, to give you a way to succeed regardless what your current financial or credit situation is like. You've probably heard it before, that anyone can be successful in real estate? Well, it's true, and this guide will show you how truly anyone can get started and achieve success. In fact, being successful through using the techniques in this guide only takes 3 simple things. First, you need to know how to do it. This lesson will take care of that. Second, you need property for sale in your area. There may not be an area in the world that has 0 property for sale, and you need people willing to invest. Again, there may not be a place in the world that does not have people wanting to buy real estate. So as you can see, there is no possible reason why you won't succeed as an investor, if you but do the things you learn in this lesson. No more excuses, just quality results. Are you ready? What you should know. Before beginning this lesson, you should understand the following: basic principles and terminology used in real estate investing. Which properties to look for and why. Where to buy real estate. How to locate motivated sellers. Basics of creating and maintaining a seller's list. How to evaluate properties and calculate offers. Basics of finding fast cash buyers and creating a list of them. What you will learn. This guide covers the following learning objectives. Understand what bird dogging is. Identify the advantages and disadvantages of bird dogging. Understand some common rules for good bird dogs. Identify ideal profiles for investors, sellers, and properties. Understand how to work with investors and what questions you should ask them. Understand ideal times to be a bird dog. Understand the mechanics of being a bird dog as well as how to protect your interest in a property. Tips for success. Recall from the introduction that one of the 3 things needed in order to be successful in real estate is people willing to invest. Well, finding investors is one of the main jobs for a successful bird dog. You shouldn't experience any trouble finding investors since there are so many people who are interested in buying real estate and since you are finding the properties for them. But here is a list of some of the common ways to find investors to work with. Classified ads. Pay attention to ads such as "we buy houses for cash," "we buy ugly houses," "we will buy and lease your house," and etc. Call these ads and tell them you are providing real estate bird dog services and see whether they are interested in working with you. It is important to know how to communicate well with people, so if you are a bit timid about talking to new people, take some time to brush up on your communication skills before making the calls. Investment clubs. Real estate investment clubs are excellent places to find new investors to work with. These investors often congregate at meetings to talk of the latest trends, techniques, and deals. You can rub elbows with some of the biggest investors in your area at these meetings, but not only do you get to meet with investors face to face, you will also receive area-specific training at the meetings. So make sure and take some time to find REI clubs in your area and consider becoming an active member. Advertise your service. You should consider advertising your real estate bird dog services if you have a small budget for advertisement. Put a classified ad in your local paper and, if possible, mention something about your specialization. For example, if you are good at generating leads for properties in foreclosure, then say so in your ad. By doing so, you will increase the chances of attracting the investors you want to work with and who are most interested in what you can offer. You might consider putting something like, "I have wholesale properties," or "I have a list of properties 50 to 65% of market value" in your ad. Seminars and events. Real estate professionals are constantly being featured at various seminars and events all over the country. Look up some of these events in your area and get out to some of them so you can not only learn more about the industry, but also meet even more investors who may be interested in working with you. Some of the real estate professional organizations that offer seminars and events are real estate agents, mortgage brokers, title companies, and even some entrepreneurs. Internet searches. You can find investors online through a number of real estate websites, forums, social networking sites, chat rooms, and other real estate-oriented sites. Try to be creative when searching for investors, and you will find that it is not hard to find people interested in your services. Introduction to bird dogging. Bird dogging is basically when a person is paid a fee for their efforts in finding good investment property for other real estate investors, mostly wholesalers. It's a great way to start an investing career since it's essentially risk-free, because you don't ever have to put up any money, you never have a property under contract, and you never have to worry about renters or repairs. All you invest into each bird dog deal is time and effort. Now there is the fact that you are putting your reputation on the line, but as long as you are doing quality work and bringing money-making properties to investors, you have nothing to worry about. This guide will help you know exactly what you need to do to ensure that you are being a good bird dog. Before getting into a discussion of how to be a good bird dog, it is important for you to know how you might get paid as a bird dog so you can see early on if this might be a good option for you. There are several ways investors may choose to pay you as a bird dog. They may choose to pay you a flat rate, a percent of the purchase price, or a net profit rate. You might get paid at the property closing, but in some cases you can get your money prior to closing. Here is an explanation of how each payment type can work. Flat rate. Some investors who have a lot of experience with bird dogs may have a predetermined amount they are willing to pay for a good property. This rate may range from $500 to several thousands of dollars based on the quality of the property, the amount of information provided about the property, the area, and the investor. Some investors will also put you on a test pay scale where they will pay a smaller flat rate for the first 3 or 4 deals, then bump up the amount they pay on the 4th or 5th property, after you have proven you are good to work with. Also, some investors have a set pay scale, but it is based on your performing a set amount of work. For example, a good bird dog is someone who can locate good property, communicate well with property owners, be able to make very close estimates for repairs, negotiate a good purchase price for the property, even though the bird dog does not have to get the property under contract, and present the information professionally to the investor so that they can evaluate the deal quickly. Most investors will want all of this information from every bird dog they work with. However, some investors who are willing to pay more may ask for more as well. They may want to see the property address, complete with directions for how to get there, the owner's name, detailed sales comparables, approximate balance on the existing mortgage, and the length of time the current owner has owned the property. You should plan on asking the investors you work with what specifics they require of a bird dog, especially if they plan on paying you a flat rate. Now, you may be thinking that if you provide all the information just listed to an investor, what is keeping them from going out and buying the property and excluding you from the deal? Protecting your interest as a bird dog will be discussed specifically later in this guide. A percent of the purchase price. Some investors prefer to pay bird dogs a percentage fee based on the price of the property. This percentage can vary widely between investors, but the most common percentage payout is around 1%. Keep in mind this percent can go up based on performance, amount of work completed, or amount of good deals brought to the investor. So keep negotiating with the investors you work with to get the most out of your time and effort. Also, if the investors you are working with choose to pay you based on a percentage, find out what their preferences are in terms of maximum purchase price and location so that you can try to find higher priced properties that allow you to earn more per deal. A net profit rate. Occasionally, investors are willing to pay a bird dog according to the amount of profit realized from the deal. This is quite a bit rarer than the previous payment methods and typically only occurs between an investor and bird dog who have done quite a few deals together and have a good understanding and level of trust. This payment method can bring a bird dog a higher profit potential, but it also requires that the bird dog wait longer to receive payment since the investor doesn't know exactly what profit has been realized until they buy, then resell the property in question. Aside from making money as a bird dog, there are other ways you benefit by starting out this way. For example, the time spent bird dogging helps new investors learn and practice how to define a target area, how to recognize distressed properties and property owners, how to research properties to collect the names of the owners and their contact information, and how to effectively evaluate rehabilitation costs. And again, you are getting paid while you hone your skills in these areas, while you personally risk nothing. Now, if you think about it, as a bird dog, you are going out investing time and effort for someone else so they can make a bulk of the profit. That sounds a lot like a job. As well it should. You can consider bird dogging as sort of an entry-level position in the wide world of real estate investing. Now, most investors don't aspire to remain a bird dog, though some do and they can make good money at it, but it is a great way to get started. Speaking of jobs, many bird dogs have jobs outside their bird dog job, and that actually is a good thing since it offers many avenues for networking. Take the time to talk to some of your coworkers and others you may come in contact with each day, and ask them if they invest in real estate or if they know someone who does and needs help. But not only should you be looking for investors, also try to contact people who are real estate agents, mortgage brokers, hard money lenders, private investors, bankers and other lenders, as well as anyone who may have knowledge of good deals on property. As you network with these people, you should have a system in place that helps you track distressed properties and property owners. This system should help you track when you market to the owners, what their approximate mortgage balance is, and as many details of the property as possible. Having this system in place early is important for bird dogging, but will also be beneficial when you begin investing in your own properties. Essentially, you are creating a way to track properties and hammering out the details to that system so that when you decide to start investing, you are one more step ahead of others in your target area. Creating this system is one more step in your on-the-job training that will help you transition to a well-organized investor. However, being a bird dog can make you a nice profit provided, 1. You know what you are doing and do it well. 2. You are in the right market to do it. 3. You know which properties make financial sense and which don't. 4. You have realistic expectations. That is to say, that you don't expect investors to buy every property you bring to them. In fact, you may bring 5 properties to an investor that you feel are good investments and have all 5 of them rejected. That may actually be a good thing since you can talk to the investors and find out what you may have missed and why they decided not to buy. Such information could be more valuable than the fee you would have collected had a property been purchased. This is why you need to understand how to analyze properties before offering them to an investor. 5. You have the willingness to learn the ropes and the mental strength to stick to it. It will take some time for you to make money as a bird dog, but keep in mind the education you are getting at the same time. The education will make your investing more profitable quicker than if you did not have it. So stick to it, make some money, and then be your own investor. Advantages and challenges of bird dogging. As with any other investment technique, there are plenty of advantages bird dogging holds above other techniques, and there are some challenges you will face as a bird dog. Advantages. One of the most obvious advantages of being a bird dog is that once you hand over the property to an investor, your job is done. You don't have to worry about maintenance, repairs, and exit strategy, financing, or any of the other aspects of owning the property yourself. Similarly, you don't have to spend a lot of time on any given property. Recall, your job is to analyze it and make sure it is a good investment, but you don't have to find good contractors or do any repairs yourself. You don't have to market to buyers or renters, and you don't have to worry about any of the other time-intensive aspects of owning the property. In fact, you can be a very effective and profitable bird dog just in your spare time. And, as has been mentioned before, you are learning the real details of investing while you are a bird dog so that you have a functioning knowledge of what properties in your market area are good for investing even before you start investing in them yourself. Another huge advantage bird dogging offers is that your financial situation doesn't matter. You will never make offers, never have to qualify for financing, never have to have your credit checked, and never have to offer earnest money or a down payment. That way, if you have any credit problems, you can be fixing them even while you make money as a bird dog. Then, when everything with your credit is up to par, you will have no problem getting money to invest with. You can also find out just how much you enjoy investing in real estate before you have a property in your name. You will go through the process of finding and analyzing properties, and after doing so several times, you may find out that you just don't enjoy real estate investing. If that is the case, then at least you haven't spent a lot of money on a property that you just want to get rid of. Similarly, if you decide that real estate is for you, you will be able to discover which types of properties or investment strategies you prefer, again, without risking any of your money or credit. During the process of finding out what kinds of properties you like, you may even carve out a specific niche for yourself that you can carry into your own investing. For example, you may find that you have a particular knack for talking to people in foreclosure and being able to negotiate well with them. That can be a huge asset for you in your own investing techniques. Disadvantages. You may also find that you can offer certain unique services to out-of-state investors that few people in your target area can offer. Again, these out-of-state investors might be looking for very specific property types that you specialize in. You could simply market to out-of-state investors and cash in on your specialty. Another advantage the bird dogging offers is that anyone can do it, but not everyone can do it. Basically, that means that there are no requirements to be a good bird dog. You don't have to pass a test, you don't have to obtain any licenses or get special experience, and your age, gender, race background, or current job and job status do not matter. However, not everyone has the mental strength to stick to bird dogging long enough to really see the long-term benefits and to create the proper network channels. The last big advantage to bird dogging is that a good bird dog is always in demand. Investors have less and less time as they work with more properties, and having a trusted person to go find deals for them will save them time that they can apply to other aspects of investing, and it is well worth the money they pay you for them to do so. Also, since there are always investors, you can make money as a bird dog regardless if the market is good or bad. Many investors you will talk to got their start as bird dogs. It's a great stepping stone to starting your own real estate business, or a great way to make money in real estate with very little risk. Every investing strategy has its disadvantages. However, being a bird dog is really nice because there are not many disadvantages. In reality, the biggest disadvantage is the fact that you will probably be spending your free time looking for properties. And really, that is not a true disadvantage since you are using that free time to actually make more money. Keep in mind though that you will waste a lot of time looking at properties investors don't want unless you actually talk to those investors and find their buying criteria. Having said that, you should also be prepared for the fact that, in the beginning, you may be rejected by many of the investors you contact. But don't let that get you discouraged. You are still learning the ropes, making a name for yourself and getting to know investors. Over time you will be better able to network with them, know what they want before you contact them, as well as how to present an offer to them that they would have a hard time refusing. So make your contacts, take your hits, but keep going and get yourself established. Also, speaking of learning, your evaluation technique won't be exactly polished the first few properties you look at. Your understanding of the market and what investors want will need to be refined, as will your ability to find good property, but that's okay. You will learn and get better each property you work with. You will feel more confident each time you go out networking with investors, and you will better discern which properties to follow up on as you continue going forward. Understand that it takes time, and stick with it. Also be prepared to evaluate and reevaluate property. If you are consistently bringing average properties to investors, they will slowly phase you out to work with people who are bringing them better deals. But on the other hand, if you are constantly bringing them great deals, you will have investors contacting you to find property for them and have a never-ending supply of buyers for your properties. Unfortunately, you also have to be wary of dishonest investors. There are some who will try to go around you on a deal or to not pay you hardly anything for your efforts. Make sure you get a contract signed with them before you present any information that could lead them to a good property. Also, if they are unwilling to negotiate a good payment for you and seem like they are trying to take advantage of your efforts, simply move on to find another investor who will pay you a price closer to market norms. Rules for being a bird dog. Being a bird dog and being an investor is a business, and like every business, you only get paid when you sell a product or service. Therefore, you need to make sure you sell as many of the properties you find as possible by evaluating them properly and bringing them to real investors. Since your investing is a business, you need to make an investment into the business in order to make money. Now, there is nothing that says the investment you make needs to be a monetary one. In fact, in the case of being a bird dog, your prime investment is time. You absolutely need to put in the time to create a portfolio for a property that an investor can look at and quickly determine if it is a property they would be interested in. To that end, here is a list of things that you, as a bird dog, need to be able to do and do well to help your business really take off. First, you need to be able to estimate repairs accurately, within 20% of the actual cost. If you can't do this well, then how can you tell if the deal is really a good one or not? And what's more, how can an investor feel comfortable moving on a property that they don't know how much repairs will cost? Sure, you may think that the investor would be insane not to go through the property themselves and determine the repair costs, and they will, but providing those repair costs is your job. The investor should only need to verify your numbers for the first couple of deals, and then be able to trust you in the future. So it is very important you invest the time to get very good estimates for repair costs. You also need to know how to comp a deal. To comp a property means that you evaluate it according to recently sold comparable properties as taught in the Real Estate Basics course. Again, this requires time to do correctly. Don't just go out and get other homes for sale in the neighborhood and call them comps, and don't just trust a real estate agent to provide you with good comps. You need to evaluate the comps and only use the good ones, or require an agent to get you more if they are not good. When you are calculating the potential sales price based on good comparables, make sure you use the average or even the lowest price per square foot in the calculation. Doing so will help you see if there is room in the deal to include your bird dog fee as well as a nice profit for the investor. Also, since many investors are paying hard money loan rates, they will want to move the property as quickly as possible and will, therefore, look at the potential sales price based on low to average selling price of the comps. Another thing that is vital for you to understand as a bird dog is how holding costs affect a deal. For example, if an investor is planning on buying a property for $100,000 and has agreed to pay you $2,500 as a bird dog fee, and the property has $7,500 in needed repairs, the investor will borrow up to $110,000, potentially from a hard money lender. Now, if that borrowed money does come from a hard money lender, the investor may be paying close to 14% interest. That means that the property costs them $1,283.33 each month they own it, not including taxes and insurance. This is why knowing average days on market, DOM, is so important for you to get right when calculating a deal. See, if the average DOM is 90, then the investor will need to plan on $3,850 in payments, according to this example, until the property sells. That amount needs to be figured into the overall cost of the transaction. Now, this calculation should not be new to you. It has been discussed in the Real Estate Basics course, but it is important to keep it in mind at this point because the more you can show an investor numbers that make sense to them, the more deals you will do, the more investors you will have to work with, and the more money you will make as a bird dog. As a bird dog, it will pay for you to be well organized. You should have a systematic approach to finding and tracking properties and investors. If you lack organization, it will be easy to get lost in all the numbers, properties, investor qualifications, and which investors are good to work with. If you are not an organized person already, take some time to learn how to be more organized by searching online or getting tips from associates who you see as well organized. Organization is also important for when you present properties to investors. See, if an investor gets a property portfolio and they can't go through it quickly and have it make sense to them, they will not work with you. So you need to make sure the information is well organized, clear, and easy to follow. Speaking of the property portfolio, it is important to have all the numbers and as much information as possible on the property before presenting it to an investor. When you go to present the portfolio to an investor, there are several items that should be included, but the items may change a bit according to investor preference. Those that should almost always be included are at least 3 to 5 quality, sold comparables that include pictures of the properties and adequate descriptions. In the description, you should include how many bedrooms and bathrooms the property has, how many square feet the property has, whether or not it has a garage, how many acres come with it, what the interior and exterior conditions are like, unique features or upgrades, the age of the property, as well as an itemized list of needed repairs and estimates for those repairs. A summary of why the seller is motivated to sell, as well as the current asking price, any terms you have discovered they will or will not accept, and the seller's name, though you might omit the seller's name if your relationship with the investor is not strong. A section that details the amounts of any underlying loans, what the monthly payments are, any payments that may be in arrears, as well as any other liens against the property. Now, some investors are going to want more information than that included here. You may need to do some courthouse research to find out who is really on the title, or the liens and their amounts, amount of taxes, if there are any recorded documents against the property, foreclosure notices, zoning or code violations, for example, what the zoning is, what the legal description is, and etc. Similarly, you may consider finding out how feasible it would be to change the zoning or to convert the property to other uses. This information may be beneficial to show an investor that you can think outside the box and provide alternative solutions if, at first glance, a property doesn't meet the investor's current needs. And if you have documentation to show how your idea could come to fruition, that makes it that much easier on the investor. Keep in mind that until you have a good working relationship with an investor, it might not be a good idea to include the owner's contact information and property address in the portfolio, as some investors have no sense of professionalism and will try to go around you. Wait until you have a signed contract with them to give that information. Investor, property, and seller profiles. There are 3 main profiles you will want to know in order to be the most successful bird dog you can be: the investor, the property, and the seller. These qualifying criteria for each of these profiles may change a bit, but there are some things you need to keep in mind with each one. Investor profile. The investors you work with will essentially determine the rest of the profiles you will look for, so it is important to understand who your investors are and what they are looking for. In most cases, the investors you work with will be rehabbers interested in properties that need some work. However, sometimes you will work with a wholesaler whose property criteria is probably different than that of a rehabber. You may be asking yourself, what makes the investor's criteria different? Well, typically a rehabber will try to buy low, repair and sell high. A wholesaler will try to buy extremely low, 50 to 70% of market value, and then resell to an owner-occupant or other investor. Most wholesalers will not do any work before trying to resell, but will resell for more than what they paid even with the outstanding repairs. Wholesalers are more risky to deal with since they may try to assign the contract instead of actually buying the property. When they do assign a property, you may not get paid because the investor doesn't actually have a buyer to go to closing, and if you recall, you typically won't get paid unless the property closes. Again, this is why it is so important to have the investor sign a contract with you that ensures you get paid for your efforts. So consider working with wholesalers with caution until you have an established relationship with them. You may also work with investors who are primarily interested in buy and hold or cash flow properties. If such is the case, you need to understand exactly what they are looking for so you can tailor your properties around those needs. The drawback to buy and hold investors is that they typically are not looking for property as frequently as wholesalers and rehabbers simply because they hold on to the property longer. With buy and hold investors, it is important for you to have an idea as to how they plan on making money from the property. For example, if the investor is planning on offering seller financing, then they can demand a little more monthly than if they are planning on traditional renting, and believe it or not, this difference can influence what kinds of properties you look for, how you negotiate with the seller, and where you look for property. So as you find and start working with investors, don't hesitate to ask them what they are looking for, what they are planning on doing with the property, and what features they may be interested in. Doing so can only help your chances of closing more deals. Property profile. As previously mentioned, the property profile you specifically look for will be determined, at least in part, by the investor you are working with. If they are a rehabber or even a wholesaler, they will probably be looking for detached, single-family residences that are in an entry-level price range, middle to low for the area, under 2,000 square feet with at least 3 bedrooms and at least 1 bathroom. Some investors will provide specific price ranges, nature of repairs, or age of home they are interested in. Some may specify they are interested in townhomes, condos, or even manufactured homes. If the investor is interested in a buy and hold strategy, then they will typically be interested in all the properties previously mentioned, but also residential multiplexes, typically 2 to 4 units, or even commercial property. Again, take the time to find out what each individual investor is interested in and then go find it. Don't try to read their minds before talking to them, as you will often waste a lot of time that way, and since, as a bird dog, time is money, you don't want to waste any time with unprofitable properties. Seller profile. As with the property profile, your investor will be the main factor influencing your seller profile. See, based on their investment strategy, they may need a particular type of investor who will work with them on terms or sales price on the property. The investor may be looking for seller financing or a lease option to get into the property. There may even be several factors that all need to come together for the property to be desirable to the investor, such as a quick closing and seller financing, or a lease option on a property that needs extensive repairs. Again, you don't know until you talk to the investor. Here is an example to illustrate how all these things come into play as a bird dog. Jamie has been investing for 13 years and during that time has seen a lot and, as a result, has refined his niche to focus on properties that are zoned for both residential and commercial purposes, as he found a great need for these properties in his area. He had made a lot of money from these kinds of properties by renting them out or selling them on lease options. One day he decided that he was too busy to continue looking for property, so he went down to the local real estate investors club meeting and met Lisa, a bird dog. Jamie taught Lisa where to look for properties and that she should try to find properties that could be sold with seller financing. Jamie also took the time to teach Lisa how to find these sellers, how to screen them, and how to educate them as to the benefits of selling using seller financing. Jamie agreed to pay Lisa a flat rate of $3,000 per property she brought to him that he purchased. Lisa then found several properties that met Jamie's requirements and made enough money to start investing herself. Had Lisa not taken the time to learn from Jamie exactly what he was looking for, she may not have been able to make enough money as a bird dog to allow her to start her own investing. Working with investors. So the big question is, why would investors pay someone to find property for them? The answer is simple. They are too busy making money with their other investments to look for additional property. They want to acquire a lot of property quickly, or the market is so competitive they need additional eyes searching for them. Now, if the area is quite competitive, your reputation becomes even more valuable to you. For example, if you are known in a small area for bringing a lot of information on good deals, then based simply on your reputation, you will be in high demand. If, on the other hand, you are known for mediocre deals or investors have to really work with you to get what they want, you will have to work a lot harder to get deals done. So work hard to keep your reputation, and then network with everyone you meet, but be careful that you don't undermine any of the investors with whom you have a good relationship, as that can hurt your reputation as well. Now, you may be thinking that by not shopping the property around to various investors you are hurting your chances of getting it purchased and making some money, but that is not necessarily true. See, if you have talked to the investors you are close to and have found out what they are looking for, then you can present it to them first and let them know you are watching out for their interests as well. Also, keep in mind that there are the different kinds of investors out there all looking for property. So even if you have 3 rehabbers you work closely with, you can also have 3 wholesalers and 3 buy and hold investors or more. So you really won't be limiting your options by staying loyal to several investors, but making yourself more in demand. Now, when you approach the investors you work with, you need to be honest with them in terms of your relationship to other investors. For example, when you talk to one, you may want to say something like, "Hey Kyle, I wanted to present this deal to you that I think meets your investment criteria. However, I have to tell you that I have also presented it to Gary. He is thinking about it as it is not exactly the right property for him." Many times, if you are open and honest with investors, they will be open and honest with you. So, as you are starting, how do you find these investors and what should you say to them? Well, as mentioned earlier in this guide, one good place to start is by calling the signs and ads that say "We buy houses" or something similar. You can also visit your local real estate investors club and talk to everyone there. You can talk to the real estate professionals in your target area and see if they can give you referrals. Also consider looking on real estate websites and forums. If there are special real estate events in your area, try going to them and networking while there. You might even go so far as to searching for people or companies that are carrying seller finance notes on a regular basis to see if you can help them. Some investors place classified ads saying they are specifically looking for bird dogs, so check your local paper, state and national papers, as well as online resources. You will be rejected by some investors, but don't let that discourage you. Keep contacting the people you find and presenting your services to them. When you contact them, you might consider presenting yourself in this way. "Mr. Anderson, hello. I was talking to Bill Jones the other day and he mentioned you are a real estate investor in the XYZ area and that you may be looking for someone to find properties for you. Are you still looking for someone to act as a bird dog? Is there a time we can meet and talk a bit more about what it is you are looking for and how we can work together?" If you are calling on an ad, you may consider the following. "Hi, Mrs. Johnson, I saw your ad on Craigslist saying you are looking for a bird dog. Could you tell me a little more about what you are looking for in a bird dog? What types of properties do you specialize in and what constitutes a good deal in your estimation? When I find properties for you, do you have a specific form or list of things you want from me? Also, how do you normally compensate your bird dogs?" As another way to find investors, create a list of all the people you know who have a considerable amount of money, or might know someone who does. After compiling the list, pick up the phone and say something like this. "Hey Mike, this is Brad and I have an idea that might be of interest to you, and by the way, I am not recruiting for a direct sales or multi-level business. I am talking about a good real estate deal that I thought you might like to know more about. I'd like to meet with you and show you what I'm talking about. When would be a good time for you?" Or Jack, Tom Smith told me that you might be interested in earning a higher rate of return on your money. Tom also mentioned that you might be interested in some properties that you can buy for very little, fix up, and sell for a good profit. Well, I specialize in finding these kinds of properties and wanted to know if there was a good time for you to meet with me and discuss how I can help you a bit more. Making these kinds of calls to a variety of investors will get you a list that you can use to make good money as a bird dog. Once you have some meetings set up, review the questions you need to know in order to be the most help to the investor. Here is a list of some of the questions you should make sure to find out. What kind of investing do you prefer, rehabbing, wholesaling, buy and hold, or cash flow? What can I do to best help you find great deals? What specific areas or neighborhoods would you like me to focus on? What price range do you prefer? Specifically, what types of properties do you prefer, single family, multi-unit, commercial, etc.? What type of repairs do you prefer and what repairs do you not want to see in a property? What is your repair cost limit? What information do you need from me in order to allow you to make a quick decision on a property? How quickly can you close? Do you have buyers for your properties, or are you looking for buyers as well? Are there certain lead sources you don't want to see? Some investors don't like to see properties that are listed on the MLS since they are easy to find, or if they do allow MLS properties, they will probably pay you less for them. Are there certain types of seller financing options, seller financing, lease option, etc., you need to have in order for the deal to be attractive? How much screening do you want me to do? Most investors are not interested in simply a seller's name, address, and phone number. Most will want you to go to the house, talk with the sellers and try to get a good price negotiated or at least find out what the seller's bottom line is. What are some of the most effective ways you have found to find good property? Most investors will have some area-specific techniques to help you out. These are some of the most important questions for you to ask. However, as you get more familiar with investors in your area, you may discover that there are others that you need to know that will help you be more valuable to the investor. Keep track of these questions and add to them as necessary, but make sure you at least get those listed here answered. Also, keep in mind that the harder you work and the more information you provide to investors, the more time they will spend with you. This is really where being a bird dog can pay off, since you will be learning firsthand from someone who is actively making money from investing. By proving beneficial to them, they can tutor you in a sense so that when you begin investing, you are a step ahead of other newcomers. When to apply the strategy. First, recognize that like all other investing techniques, bird dogging is not for everyone. Some new investors consider it a waste of time since they see their time and efforts being worth more than what many investors are willing to pay. But keep in mind that this is a great way to get started if you don't have money, credit, or connections to get money for your own investing. In fact, when asked, most investors who started as bird dogs will tell you that they don't regret their time as bird dogs. They will tell you that it was a great way for them to learn the business, learn the market, learn how to find deals, negotiate offers, and evaluate how to exit a deal. Many will even tell you that it was as a bird dog that they learned how to get out of their comfort zone and how to network. So, if you have little or no money to invest, or you don't want to use your money or take the time to find others' money to invest, then being a bird dog might be a viable option for you. Similarly, if you have credit issues or simply don't want to use your credit, it can be a good strategy since you never have to acquire a loan or take financial responsibility for a property. Whatever your situation, bird dogging is always a viable way to make money in real estate. Even if you are a seasoned investor, you might find properties that are good deals, but do not meet your investment criteria that you could refer to others for a fee. The mechanics. The following is the basic process involved in a bird dog deal. Evaluate it and make sure bird dogging is a good option for you. First, you need to collect the names of people or companies who want to buy investment property. Contact a number of investors to find those who are willing to work with you. During your conversation with them, make sure and find out exactly what they are looking for and what they expect from you. Then make time to find property and sellers that meet the investor's investment criteria. Visit the properties and evaluate them in terms of needed repairs and overall condition of the property. Gather additional data on the subject property as well as from viable comparables in the same area. Once you have some detailed information about the property, prepare a portfolio of the property details that you can present to investors to see if they are interested. When you find someone who is interested in the property, negotiate a good bird dog fee and then have them sign a non-circumvent or similar agreement that clearly states your fee and the terms of the agreement. When the investor closes on the property, collect your fee from them and continue finding other properties. Occasionally you will be required to do a little more follow-up work on the property. That's it. There really isn't much more to being a successful bird dog. Now you can see why so many people start out this way and continue on building their own investing business. Is it brokering? There is some discussion in the real estate world as to whether or not bird dogging is legal. There are some real estate professionals who maintain that you need to be licensed in order to legally bird dog. They see the process of bird dogging too similar to that of a real estate agent. These people usually don't quite understand what bird dogging is. However, it is smart to check your local laws so you know your limits as a bird dog. Those who contend that bird dogging is illegal try to claim that you are brokering deals, but that is not the case. Brokering deals with transferring real estate or representing someone in the transfer, you are doing neither. They don't understand that you do not represent a buyer or a seller, you only represent yourself. You can look at it from the perspective that if you sell someone a used pair of pants, are you a broker for the pants manufacturer? Certainly not. If you are concerned with being viewed as a broker and incurring legal issues, you can easily draft a simple partnership agreement that makes you and the investor partners in a deal that the investor buys you out of upon closing. Such an agreement shouldn't be contrary to any state law, but, again, if you are concerned, consider speaking to an attorney on the matter. Protecting your interest. You may have been wondering through this lesson how to protect your interest in a deal when you are supplying an investor with so much information about a property. Well, first of all, most seasoned investors will already have some kind of agreement in place that they feel comfortable using with their bird dogs. If this is the case, make sure you review the agreement very closely, and if there is nothing contrary to your goals, feel free to use it. However, if the investor doesn't have an agreement or has in their agreement items that are not in your best interest, either continue looking for an investor or create an agreement of your own. Ideally, this is not going to be a major concern since you should have a trusting relationship with your investor from the beginning, but agreements tend to keep honest people honest. Also, if it isn't in writing, it doesn't exist. You can have a non-disclosure non-circumvent signed before you give the seller's name, address, and contact information. You can have your fee included in this agreement, or included in a separate one. The big thing to keep in mind concerning your fee is to have it vary from deal to deal. There will be some properties that are quick and easy, but others that will require considerably more time and effort, and your pay should be adjusted accordingly. Don't lose a lot of sleep about what agreement you use since most of the people you work with understand the important role of bird dogs and want to take care of you as much as you take care of them. It is just for those few cases that you need to make sure you are well protected. Summary. This lesson has focused on giving you enough information to understand what your options are for making money in real estate with minimal risk, your reputation, no money of your own, and without using your credit. You can bird dog on a part-time basis as a way to supplement your current income, or you can do it full-time as a means of launching your investing career. It is one of the best ways to get on-the-job training from experienced investors who are willing to teach you what they know. If you already have an established investing business, bird dogging can be a great way to still make money from deals that do not meet your investment criteria or that you simply don't want. And while bird dogging may not be the most prestigious investing option available, it is one that is rather important and one that works. Action items. Please do, or be able to do, the following before your next lesson. Identify if this is a technique you want to use to find deals, and evaluate the work and time involved to do these types of deals. Gather a list of at least 30 investors in your area and screen them to see if they are a good fit for you. Narrow your list of 30 investors to 5 to 10 of those who are most compatible with you. Of the investors you choose, identify their investment criteria and the way they would like deals presented to them. Find at least 10 motivated sellers, and continue with at least 10 per week, and screen them to find if they are the kind of seller that fits your investor's needs. Walk through at least 5 of the properties you have found to evaluate the property for repairs. Gather all pertinent information about the property required by the investor and make sure you have some kind of agreement in place before turning over contact information to them. Provide the investor with the property portfolio and wait for the closing. Continue looking for more property. Coming up. Being a bird dog is just one of the many lessons in the financing course. There are many other ways to get into a property with little or no money of your own that are discussed in other lessons in the financing course. The assignment of contract lesson is another fast cash strategy you should consider as well. It's a little different in that with it you get a property under contract and then assign, or sell, that contract to an investor. You may also consider reviewing some of the other fast cash strategies such as those explained in the subject to, buy, fix and sell, and options lessons. Seller financing, lease options, and sandwich lease options are some of the other techniques you can learn about by continuing through this course. You should also consider reviewing the seller's list networking list and fast cash buyers list lessons for more about how to maintain an ongoing source of people and properties to use to make money.